Welcome to the Bob and Tam Show.
And our excellent adventures.
Welcome to our Wednesday Night Live. We appreciate all of you coming out. We got a whole bunch of information. We've got some reports on Florida. We also got some reports on Myrtle Beach we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about a garage, and we're going to talk about Las Vegas. And we also have a campground in Sturgis we're going to talk about tonight. So, hey, we got a pretty good agenda. We thought we were going to have a couple people on, but it didn't turn out. So we'll see how it all goes.
The time didn't work out on their end,
So a lot of things going on. So get your people up here. Do your job.
Well, I'm kind of preoccupied. Praying for all those people down there in Florida. Richard, how are you doing? Are you getting ready for the storm, riding the storm out, huh? We need to play that song. Myrtle Beach Charlie, quite a few bikes out. Well, that's good. We've heard different stories here and there.
Well, it looked like the first part of the week was pretty slow there. So we'll talk a little bit about that while she kind of pulls the names up of everybody, sees if anybody's got...
Yeah, that's just such a long way for us because we're already home.
For Ocean City, we just looked it up again.
Yeah.
It's for us from here, from Arizona, it's 2,500 miles. That'd be 5,000 miles just going there and getting there and coming back. And which I don't even know where we would even stay at there. Because of the issues with campgrounds are farther away, things like that.
I've been there.
Because that's one of the reasons we canceled
Galveston,
because with the time we paid for the gas to get down there, come back, and for the campground, we would have spent a little over $3,000, and there was no way we were going to make that kind of money. We did put our proposal into our possible. What's what people call
Adam Amso. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to you.
The people that might sponsor us, sponsorship. So we put that information in, and we'll see how it all goes. Maybe we'll, maybe we won't. We'll see how it all goes. So
there's Stephen. Oh, his sister lives in Venice. Yeah, my girlfriend is in Port Charlotte. She's at the hospital. She's the A team, so she's been there for 24 hours and will probably be there till Friday. And the hospital next door, she just called me a few minutes ago, and I was very breaking up at the hospital next door. The roof collapsed, and they're trying to get the patients to her hospital, but their hospital's full, and the weather's too bad. They can't get the patients out of that hospital into theirs, and their hospital, the roof is starting to leak, and they're hoping it's not going to give way. So
lots of excitement going on. I know there's a lot of you out there. We'll see who all comes on tonight. Rat Fink is over there in St. Augustine's.
Yeah.
We got quite a few people down there in
Daytona. Dave's in Daytona.
Yeah. And a
lot of people the vendors live in Jacksonville.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, about Myrtle Beach, what's happening there. Right now, the weather there is pretty good. They had a really great day. If you go to our Facebook page, our personal Facebook page, Bob and Tam's, either go to the Pating Nation or go to our regular page. Steven put a bunch of videos up. He kind of went down to SB&B today. He went over to the dealers this morning over at where they're selling bikes. And he also went over across the street to the Beaver Bar. He talked to a few people. Some of our vendors he stopped by and talked to. And so it was pretty neat. And we called a few today because we're yesterday and today trying to find out what's going on and what they're going to do. Looks like quite a few are probably going to pull out. Stephen had already said when we had talked to him on, I don't know, it was Monday or Tuesday, that he noticed that he heard there was a lot of people had canceled their trips, which would be, hey, if I'm coming down
there's a hurricane coming, do you go to Myrtle Beach or do you ride out and go to a hurricane?
So it's kind of great. It was actually worked out really great that we decided not to go because we would have had to pull, who knows how far we would have had to pull back to not to have any damage to any of our vehicles and, motorcycles. No fun riding with a motorcycle at 80-mile-an-hour winds.
No. Or the trailer. I mean, it's not hooked down to nothing. It could blow over really easy. It's just, I don't know.
So we'll see what happens. But right now, what we've heard is we'll talk about some of the people that are leaving. First of all, Amzo Adam, if you're one of his followers, he did not show up at all. He decided not to do the rally. You can go watch his video. He talked about it's really not been a real good rally for him, which is what we kind of say. These fall rallies, really, when you're looking at a 4 or 5 day rally, they just really don't kick it enough. Myrtle Beach is already screwed to start with because some stuff opens one day, some stuff opens the next day. It's just a mess. And
that's what Dan and Gina Kite said. I talked to her a while ago, and she said that they're trying to make it a 10-day rally too. They want it over 2 full weekends, so they're trying to make it a 10-day rally, but they have the same issue. they can open this day, they can open that day, they don't open till this day, so it's just a messed up.
Especially now, you're already pushing it when you're going in the spring too for hurricanes, and that's one of the things I want to say, because we want to thank the dealership here, because that's what they called this tornado or a
hurricane rally.
Yeah, they call it rally. Yeah. So it looks like they got what they wished for. They're going to get their hurricane to go along with the rally. So we also talked to Speed Performance Plus. They're pulling out tomorrow morning, tonight or tomorrow morning. They're pulling out.
I think the rain's supposed to start on Friday, actually, in Myrtle Beach.
But they're talking high. They're talking anywhere from 50 to 80 mile an hour winds, steady rain. We heard as much as 8 inches of rain could be even more. Tornadoes are going to be very possible. Anything along all this way. Florida's already got tornado warnings. The whole state of Florida does. So there's a lot of stuff going on. If I was there, I would be pulling out probably tonight too. You don't push your luck. There's enough bad things that are happening. So Speeds is pulling out. We also talked to the Ferry and Exchange. They're leaving out tonight, pulling plugs, and they're hitting the road. It's like Ciro, they don't do the fall rally, so they weren't there at all. Some of the other ones, Mexi Philly, he doesn't really do the fall rallies anymore.
Bugslide.
Yeah, Bugslide, I think, did I not say that?
I don't think so.
Bugslide's pulling out tonight too. They're closing down and getting out of town.
I don't know if it's the whole JCP cycle tent or if it's just Larry.
Yeah. And it's what you can't afford it. If something bad happens, especially if you own the tents.
Yes.
And it's, like Adam, you got that whole rig. You just got a whole new tent and a new rigging and all that. And all that got ripped off the front.
Speeds is a brand new. All his tents brand new this year.
That's a lot of money. I think they spend $20,000-$30,000 on that tent and the metal and all that stuff to make that work. So that's a lot of investment to take a gamble that, and if you lose all that, well, you got insurance, but what are you going to do for the next couple of rallies? You're looking at Daytona in just 2 weeks, Daytona, and then Panama City's right behind that. So, and
there's a week apart, because I think when we did it last year, I think we went to Myrtle Beach and then we had to bust our butts to get down to Daytona, because Daytona was that next weekend. And then right after that next weekend was Panama City. So Terry, your friend from Pennsylvania, said that he doesn't think that Indian banner is going to go very good with your Harley stuff. He's still trying to get that banner out of you.
We'll have to wait till we get the garage all set up. We'll leave it to you and
our will. How does that sound,
We have to wait till we get the garage all set up, and we'll see what happens, and who knows.
Have you been seeing the stuff on, that's why the stuff going on in Florida, I'm worried about my friends, all the vendors, everybody, the whole state of Florida. And we've been working on the garage, and I overdid it. My back is like shot. So it's my own fault, but I don't know how I'm going to ride the bike all the way to Vegas tomorrow, but we'll see.
So that's what we're doing tomorrow. We're heading out to Las Vegas tomorrow. We're going to be there we're actually there on Thursday, but can't check into who knows when, probably 4 o'clock. We'll call and see if we can get in early. Shouldn't be nobody there in the middle of the week. So
Stephen, Dan Kite said that they said they were going to stay. They said today was a great day. It's been dead up until today.
She just called a few minutes ago, called us.
And Gina said that they're going to hack it out there. And then they said they might leave a day early and they're going to the Angel City rally in Georgia. So they're going to go to that. And then they're going to go home and see if their house is still there. They're in Jacksonville.
So it's like the Fair and Exchange. He's from Jackson. So Paul actually left yesterday or this morning. I guess this morning he pulled out and told the crew to pack up tonight and get out. So they get out. So same thing. You can't afford to have things happen and damage and things like that. And you have insurance and stuff, but you have deductibles, and then you have to wait. We got these guys down the road from us. If you guys looked on any of our Facebook pages, had these big giant garage doors blown up. I don't know if they're 14 or 16-foot garage doors. And that's been now 2 full weeks.
2 weeks ago.
They still got wood in front of their doors. So just imagine if you're a vendor and your tent blew out and you didn't have a backup or anything.
Your trailer fell over. I mean, like Amsoil Adam or Speeds, any of them. The wind gusts come up and flip the trailer over.
You're out of business. So those are things. I don't blame any of them for leaving. Like I say, we'd be pulling out too. And the other one we wanted to tell you about is Rick Rack. We talked to Shane just a few minutes ago, and he said, hey, we're going to ride the storm out. We're riding the storm out like our REO Speedwagon. He said they've been doing really good. They're very happy with the business they've been doing since they've been there. I think they opened up on Tuesday, I think. And he always opens the day before they allow him to open. And so he wanted us to let everybody know he is there. If you want anything, if you're in Myrtle Beach,
he's there and open for business. So if you need anything from Rick Rack,
come on down. And they said, if it starts looking bad tomorrow, maybe things will change. But at this moment, he thinks they're going to be fine. Not planning on going anywhere. Yeah. So that's a good thing. And so if you're there, you can still get some stuff done. Stephen looked at the dealership for bikes. They still got a full 10 of bikes, which I probably wouldn't be buying a bike right now anyway. They're probably going to be sorry. And that's what I said. You never know when you have rallies at this time of year and you're on the East Coast. You got to worry about that kind of stuff. You're taking chances. It's not like if you were in California where
the thing is because we're not there. Because, knock on wood, all of our wooden barrel here from Jack Daniels, the rallies we've been to, very, very, very little rain. The first year was no rain. I think there was one day in Myrtle Beach during the spring. There was one day of rain. I think it was that Wednesday in the middle of the week. And then I think where was there another day, someplace else we were at, and it rained one day. So maybe it's because we're not there. I don't know.
Who knows?
So Bill says his daughter's been trying to get home from Jacksonville.
Yeah, so it's pretty tough. Her cousin and stuff, he was down there.
He was on Santa Bella Island day before yesterday, and I said, get out of there. Yeah, I don't know how he got out. He took
a picture. He was riding behind. He's a car. He was driving behind a semi. He was pretty far out, almost out of Florida already. So some people are getting out. Some people I see traffic backed up, no gas, no this, no that. And I always said that when I was down there in Florida. I'm like, why do they wait so long to let, for people to start leaving? Well, they said that's the problem. Nobody will say, like, if you want a business, I don't want to close down. So I'm not going to let my workers off.
That's true. It says after the hurricane, the price of plywood goes up even higher. Maybe we should buy the wood now.
Might be a thought.
Thank you for thinking about that.
Yeah, but I ain't going up to tomorrow and buying it. Unless you run.
Can you order it? You can order it, can't you? Tell them you'll pick it up in 2 weeks or whatever.
I guess.
Yeah, because I think I've talked him into doing drywall instead of the plywood. I was okay with the inside part being the outside part, or the outside part being the inside part. But he said then you can't paint that. So if he wants to paint it, but I think if you paint plywood, and drywall look better. So anyway. We need 2x4s now.
How many?
Jeez, 500? Around 500 2x4s to go all the way around, and then you have to have a row on top and a row on bottom. So yeah, we figured out about 500.
Plus you didn't even figure for the rooms.
No, that's just for the outside.
The inside walls.
Well,
I mean, maybe you think you're building something on the outside.
No,
So we got another video coming up here, probably Friday. So tomorrow we got a great video coming up. It's all about our craziness with our rental car.
Well, he didn't even put half the stuff in it that happened.
So we'll tell you two of the things tonight. Hang around and we'll tell you two things that happened. But the two biggest things made me forget about the other two things that happened.
So Stephen said they've sold 50 bikes so far.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Probably local people buying them. Because I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Stephen. He said he showed Dan Kite a picture of our building. He said he loved it.
So a lot of things are going on. And so like I say, we've got, here it's been hot. We're 106 degrees again today. So I know over there in Myrtle Beach has been like in the 70s. So yeah, it's been really nice weather. It's a little cool in the morning, probably riding around, or in the evening. But nice time to, but it's, you look at these fall rallies. Like I say, we went to the fall rallies originally to get a feel of what the big rallies would be. And like I always say, why would you go to something that's only half of what something else is in the same place? Why would you go there? That's like saying you're going to go to Florida in hurricane season versus waiting till, January or February when you're bombed in snow everywhere else. And, I think that's why Daytona Bike Week in March does so well, because so many people are in the snow. They just want to get the heck out and get someplace that's a little bit warmer. To them, even 50 degrees is summertime for them.
Yeah.
So, I can see all that stuff, and I understand that.
I remember being back in Illinois. Once it hit during the dead of winter, whenever it got up to 50, everybody was in flip-flops and shorts and outside barbecuing. Because, when it's 3 degrees and it gets 50, that's warm.
So we're supposed to cool down here soon. I don't know. Mike's going to come out. We've got it set up for, I think, the week of the 10th of October to epoxy the floor. I think I'm going to go clear coat it too. That's what I'm thinking. Can't hurt. And just to give it a little bit more protection. I'm just hoping, we had a lot of trouble with electric There is no 400 amp. Well, actually, here you have to put a meter assembly up for the electric company with an outside fuse box. Everything's outside here because we're in the desert. So
don't get anywhere.
Yeah, so it's about $1,000 is what that cost. Home Depot's been out of stock for close to a year.
Since July 2021.
So we talked to an electric company in town, Vegas Electric. They got nothing. They haven't had nothing for a year either. So we ended up finding a sub-meter and a fuse box, which they said, well, it depends on what the county will let me do. And the county told me it's whatever the electric company will do. The electric company said they would accept that. So we're probably going to end up putting a 200 amp in it for now, set everything up in the right place. And then when I get the 400 amp box, could be a year from now, could be 2 years from now, who knows? They said there's some Taiwans you can buy out of California, but doesn't know if they'll be approved when you bring them here. So I figured it'd be better to at least have 200. We can have the air conditioner. Air conditioning can run in the garage. All the stuff in the garage will run. We'll have enough power there to run an RV outside. If anyone wants to stop by and visit with us, we'll have our RV spot outside. So not enough power inside to run what we're running. With the compressors, 110. The lift probably we're going to get is going to probably be 110. So I don't have, other than the welders, and how often are you going to weld? So I only got the MIG welders. The only thing that's 220. Is there anything else I got that's 220? I don't think so. My MIG welder is 110, and I don't think I got anything else that's 220. Just my arc welder. So
Neil said no moose this year.
No, sorry. Should have went with us. We had a lot of elk.
Yeah, we saw lots of elk. And then we saw people out hunting. It must have been, was it bow season? They all had bows. Yeah, that one morning we left early, that we saw a bear. There was a ton of people out.
So we had a lot of those videos, which I don't know when I'm going to get to them. We've talked about this before. Nobody commented they wanted to go or not. But we'd be happy to lead a ride through Oregon coast in Northern California. Don't charge you nothing. We're not like, there's so many of these guys out here and girls that are trying to charge you for
destination rides.
Yeah. We'll give you a destination ride, but we ain't going to charge you. We're going to go with you to have fun. And what it'll cost you is whatever the hotel. What I do when I do this kind of stuff is I call all the places up. Once you find out, let's say you had 20 people want to go, 10 bikes or 15 bikes and 20 people want to go. Well, then what I do is I start calling the hotels and say, hey, what do you have available? Check prices and all this. And we hold a slot of rooms for amount of time. Maybe it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You have to call and get all your rooms booked. You don't book them, and you don't get them. You don't go. Or you sleep in a tent in the parking lot, I guess. And
put up your, what is that called? That side thing?
I don't know. I can't think of it either. It's a thing you can buy. Lean
to.
Yeah. And but yeah, if people are interested in that, we're happy to do something like that.
We couldn't get anybody to go to Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple people said they would still want to go. We still might consider going to Mexico if people wanted to go. We just have to call her cousin and stay with him. But I don't know where we'll find you places to stay or not. I should find your own place. So that's a whole nother story. So what else?
Mark says we could do shag carpeting in the garage.
It's dirty. Driving cars in and out on it.
And out here, it's nothing but rock, dirt, and sand. So
we got a price today for the fence, which I already got a price, about the same price the other guy gave me. So fencing an acre of ground, 6 foot fence.
Chain link fence. Just a plain old.
One gate, a sliding gate.
20 foot sliding gate.
18,000. That's dollars, not pennies. So yeah, things aren't cheap in the world. So that's why we try to do as much as we can. Like the water, a lot of people commented they should have done this, should have done that, should have done this. This is weird out here. Like I say, back in Illinois, probably, what was it, 30 years ago? I laid a water line and I ran it probably a couple 100 feet. And there we had a roll that my father-in-law helped me do it. And we must have rented a trencher, but I don't remember what we did. I remember putting the line, and I remember it was a one-piece line, and we hooked it all up, and here. When I get here, they don't have anything. And then when I start asking people, they're like, oh, no, I use PVC out here. I'm like, really? And then
because it only comes in 10-foot sections. That's as big as you can get it.
Yeah. So they've got the Plex to put inside, but they have nothing out here for outside. So I don't know if it's because, I don't know why it is. If it's because it doesn't freeze here, I don't know. Like our water line out here, which I wrote on the thing the other day, we had an extra driveway put in, just a rock driveway to put the boat out front. And it was only this far down. When they graded it, cut it back, they hit the line. And it was actually the cheap PVC, the thinner stuff. It wasn't even, we bought Schedule 40, so it was at least a little bit heavier than what, And then Adam was telling me you gotten some 1-inch that was 80. We look today, there is the most they have out here is 40 gauge, no matter what size you get it in, up to 1 inch.
But I think because it doesn't freeze.
Could be. I don't know. But I mean, with the rocks, I understand that. And they tell you out here they want you to pack everything in sand. That's what they want you to do. You run the electric line, you run anything, but see, the water's not approved. They can care less. The kids, which I don't know why they don't want that.
Yeah, nobody has to come out and approve
so
that.
The water company comes out, drops your meter, you run your water, and the county could care less.
70s.
So the electric, they do come out and look at all that. So that'll be another hassle to go through with all the stuff we got to do. But we're going to do it in steps instead of doing it like, first of all, we'll put the meter up. The electric box will be set at 200 amp. We're going to run the power over to the RV site, and then that's it. They'll approve that. And then meanwhile, I'll get all if I start putting the walls up inside, get all those done. Well, we'll epoxy the floor first, of course. That'll be probably before electric gets here. We'll see. And so we'll get the walls all up. We'll epoxy the floor. Then get all the walls up. And I'm trying to have my brother and come out and help me do my electric inside. He's an electrician. Give him a free trip from St. Louis, him and his wife, to
Bullhead City, Arizona.
fly out here. We'll pick him up in Arizona or at
Las Vegas,
and bring him down here and spend half the time working on the garage, and then we'll take him to Grand Canyon or something. Seen it.
Take it on the boat or whatever.
Yeah.
Depends on when they come.
Yeah.
December is probably too cold on the boat. They were asking gas prices, so we just paid $3.33 for gas at Sam's.
That's regular.
And Mark said it's $3.10. Neil says his is $5.69. $5.59.
The highest we seen while we were out was for regular unleaded in California. It was right there where we seen the turkeys at. It's through one of the places you drive through the tree.
It was right outside of Lincoln.
It was $7.53 a gallon.
For regular.
Now, somebody that she knew posted something and said they found one.
Big Sur. But it was for premium. It was $9.99.
Yeah. But you're in Big Sur. You should know better to get gas down in.
They should have known better.
In Myrtle Bay.
Yeah.
Gas up in Myrtle Bay, that would get you 200 miles away.
So yeah, they didn't realize that. I think it cost them. They got 6 gallons. It must have been like $69 for to fill up their motorcycle. $9.99 a gallon.
Myrtle Bay. And
the 70s was the shag carpet, as what I remember.
Yeah, 70s.
Yeah. Hey, Ryder X is on. How are you doing? I guess it hasn't caught up to you yet, has it?
Well, they probably got the rain and stuff. I think it's been raining. It started raining yesterday all through.
Maryland.
Oh, Ryder X.
Yeah.
I was thinking of.
Prepping.
Yeah. In St. Augustine's. So yeah, pretty much a lot of you out there on the East Coast is going to have all kinds of excitement here in the next couple of weeks. So and hopefully they won't do any damage to Daytona or to Panama City.
6 is on. $2.88 in Thomasville, Georgia for regular.
That's a good deal. Which is really weird here because when a lot of you were telling us the other day, I think Stephen was telling us that gas was dropping in Myrtle Beach. And out in California and stuff and around here, we really haven't been dropping anything in price.
Washington, Oregon. I mean, maybe it's cheaper than it had been. We don't know, but it was more expensive than here. So
yeah, so that's why we had the rental car. And the rental car, we ended up driving about 3,200 miles with that puppy. So we'll tell you a little bit about what happened to that. So there's a video coming out tomorrow you're going to have to watch. We didn't even want to put the video out till after we returned the car.
And then on the video, there was a couple other things that happened that wasn't even on the video.
So we're going to tell you a little bit about that. So we pick up this rental car, and
in Vegas.
I went through Priceline, so it was I was just going to do the wheel of roulette. Whatever car we get. It's a sub compact, and it's like it was $24 a day. And I bought the insurance, which I thought it was going to be through the rental company, but it ended up being through Priceline, which it was only $12. I don't know how hard it is to claim anything like that, so you always got to kind of worry. And I'm like, I figured we were going up there, we're going to be around Portland and all that kind of crap stuff where crazy crap's going on, still going on. We didn't get anywhere near any of that, so we didn't see any of that. So we picked the car up, and the guy's taking pictures of the car all over it, and he's looked at the windshield because they want to get you. If it gets a little chip in the windshield, you got to buy them a new windshield. They'll never fix it, but they'll charge you for it. And so we get in the car, and so she drops me off a couple blocks away because we didn't want them to know that we were.
They wanted to write down our license plate number.
And because a lot of times they don't want. A lot of places don't want you to rent local. and they frown on that. So I used my South Dakota driver's license and said, that's where I live. And so guy didn't really ask me any questions, didn't say anything, because we were thinking about going into Canada with it. And we probably could have, but we just, with time and stuff, we just decided. I found out just across the border, you could go see where First Blood, the first Rocky movie, was filmed up there. They got big statue and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, that'd be really neat to bring you guys. Some people like it, some people wouldn't, but I thought it'd be kind of neat to be something different. And we've been to Canada. We've been to the Niagara Falls side above New York.
The East Coast, not the West Coast side. And we lived on the West Coast all those years. So, but anyway.
So we were 2 years ago, before the pandemic, we were going to go to Vancouver, but we never made it that far. Never made it to Oregon, never did all that. We just did. So with the car, so we pick up the car and we get to, I think if you watch the video a couple weeks ago, we showed you the wheel of roulette to.
We was in Ogden, Utah.
To show you what car we got, which we got a pretty nice, thought it was a pretty nice car. It was a GMC, I don't know what the hell thing it was, started with a T.
It was like a Terrain, Terrian.
Cheapest piece of junk I ever seen in my life. And you're going to hear a little bit more in the video. I'll tell you a little bit about this. Well, this car had plastic strips that went all the way down. It went over the wheel well, went down the side of the car. So after we get gas the first couple of times, I see some of that black over the wheel well starting to flop off. It probably got caught in the car wash. So I pulled back on it and it broke, the clips were broken. And actually the molding, what a piece of junk it was, a piece of plastic. It had another little piece of plastic inside of it, and it was rolled over the edges to hold that little piece of plastic. And then you had the pop-it clips that held it into the car. Well, that inner piece was coming off. So I'm like, now what the hell are we going to do? I said, this guy's going to charge me a fortune to do this. So we're like, okay, so we're like, we'll figure out, I'll get some glue, I'll do something, we'll figure out what we'll do. But first we'll have to clean the car because it was kind of dirty and stuff. So we get up to Washington with it, where we're staying at one of our coast-to-coast campground, or not coast-to-coast, Thousand Trails campgrounds. Got a little trailer to stay in, which was nice. Nothing going on there. Hot tub is broke and typical stuff. Town doesn't open up, and beginning of the week, ain't nothing going on. We missed one of the largest car shows on the West Coast. There was over 3,000 cars came for that.
Up in Long Beach.
We seen it the whole day driving there on Sunday. We seen nothing but all these fancy, and it was from 70, I think it was 74 and older you had to be. And just tons of them. Hundreds of them we seen on the highway. And I go, there must have been a car show somewhere up that way. And the closer we got, kept seeing cars. I said, it must be, we were stayed in Long Beach, Washington. And that's where this car show was. Kind of like a little
Long Beach.
Yeah, kind of I don't know where the people stayed.
I don't know either.
But some of them were still there when we got there.
Cars, town's not that big. It's only probably about 10 blocks long.
Yeah, the McDonald's can't go inside. They don't got drive up. They got no help, and half the places are closed because they don't open, and some of them never opened up after the pandemic. It was. I don't know if any of you ever been along the coast of Washington. Now, we didn't go very far up. That's about as far up as we went. We kind of drove a little bit farther up. Then we started having trouble with the tires. Started going down. Left rear tire.
In Idaho, it's when the thing came up on the screen saying
low tire. So it was down about 26 pounds. So it's supposed to be about 30, I think it's 36, 37 is what it's supposed to be in there. So I pulled over and we put some air in it. And it filled it up.
First we had to find a station that had air.
Yeah, because most places, you'd be surprised, most places don't have air at all. Not even one you can buy. And so we found a place, put some air in the tire, drove it. It lasted about 2 or 3 days. Well, made it till we got up to Washington, where we stayed all night. Stayed for the 4 days, 5 days, whatever we stayed there. And so then we're like, okay, the light comes on again. I'm like, well, we need to probably find some place to fix, because I didn't want to call
the rental company
because I don't know. They never said we couldn't leave the state. They never said how far you could go. They didn't say crap. And normally, a lot of times they'll tell you stuff like that. Like when we rented cars in California, they always tell you can't go to Mexico. You can only stay within
California.
You can only stay in the states that touch
California.
Yeah. So here, this guy never said nothing, but of course it's probably written in the millions of print that you sign. So it's like, I don't know. So I said, we'll figure out something. So finally we pull up to this one, which we were going up north into Washington, and we seen a couple gas stations. The first gas station I pulled in had no air pump at all. So then we pull around and I see another gas station, it was a Chevron. And here's some bum out there with his bicycle tires all apart.
Yeah, he gave you a quarter.
But he still was a bum.
He was not a bum.
He had no money. He was homeless. And so he's fixing his tires.
He was a bicyclist.
He was living in a cardboard box. If you don't call that homeless, I guess it's okay.
Hey.
He didn't have a permanent roof over his head. So,
this just happens to be mobile.
Yeah. So finally he gets done because we'll just sit there because I said I don't know where else we need to put at least some air in the tire. So I walk up and it's a stupid machine. It was $1. It only took quarters. And most of these credit machines nowadays you can put a credit card in. And so you couldn't. So she looks through her purse. She's got a bunch of nickels. And I'm like, well, we'll just go.
I have 2 nickels to rub together.
And the guy goes, I'll give you a quarter. I'm like, well, it's $1.
It's $1.
He says, no, a quarter will make it work. You don't need $1. And so I put it in. I thanked him and filled the tire back up. And then we drove it again. And so when we started on our trip back down the coast of Oregon, it starts going down again. I'm like, there's got to be something. I looked at the tire, but you can't jack it up and spin it. So I looked around. I didn't see nothing in it. I said, maybe just the valve stem is leaking or something. Let's try to see if we can find a tire store. So we looked up Discount Tire, and there was nowhere near there.
But we went to a Les Schwab's.
And so we pulled in there, and they said, yeah, we can take a look at it pretty quick. And it was around lunchtime, so we thought, maybe we'll go get lunch, and then we'll come back and pick the car back up. The guy goes, oh, no, we'll pull it right in. So they pulled it out in, and probably there was another guy we were talking to about our channel, tell him all about what we do.
Yeah.
He might be on the night. And
he gave us some suggestions of where to go have lunch.
Yeah. And I don't know if we went to eat where he told us to. I think that's the day we did that live from the
We went to Tom's. We went to Tom's.
Yeah. So they fixed a tire, and I'm like, okay, what do I owe you? And they said, nothing. It's free. So, hey, if you ever have a tire, you might want to go buy
Les Schwab's. There you go.
Tire.
LES.
I've seen them all. I've seen them around, but I've never stopped at one. They're very nice. Got back on the road. Said there was a screw in the tire. So got us on them. So meanwhile, I go out. See how many of you are actually auto mechanics. Okay. What I did is we went down to AutoZone. I went in and I got some monkey snot to glue it back on. How many people know what that is?
My dad was a mechanic and he was a mechanic. And so one time he says, run down to the store and get me monkey snot. Well, I've heard this term my whole life. So I run into AutoZone and I said, I need some monkey snot. And they're all like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I said, it's monkey snot. It's stuff you put on to put things together.
What did you do with the box? Where's it at?
Might be in our room, I think. And so anyway,
it's yellow and slimy, and it looks like monkey snot.
It did. It got all loosey goosey. Direct said, "Was it all loosey goosey?"
No, it was flopping around like a fish. Floppy. It was flopping like a fish, and because it got worse and worse. So I thought, I'll start at the top. So we took it down to the car
wash,
and we hosed it all off real good, and got it all cleaned up. And don't show them the box, so they'll know what it is then. What? And they'll get me something to wipe my hand off after I get it. And so we get it all clean. And so that night we were still in Washington, staying there. So half of it I kind of squirted all on there, tape it on. We got some blue tape to put on it, some real good blue tape. Got it from the hardware store. And put it on there and let it sit all night long. And the next day, I think we waited 2 days before I took that off. And then I glued some more on it. So by the time we gave the car back, it looked just like brand new. Well, it looked good enough. It wasn't like new because crap's plastic and it doesn't line up to start with. It probably wasn't lined up from the start. So those are 2 things we already had gone through. Alexa's talking to us. So we didn't know what. So those are 2 things that I forgot to put on the video tomorrow about nightmares of a rental car. And so you have to wait for tomorrow to see that. We'll try to be, I put it as a premiere. Hopefully we'll be on. We'll be able to be in our room and stuff by the time I have it come on. I don't know what time it comes. Maybe I don't know what time I got to put it come on. They're telling me now to put my videos out earlier. So we have to do that earlier now. So she's looking for the monkey snot. So did anybody actually know what monkey snot is? We'll see if anybody, let's see. He's a recycler. Oh yeah, somebody did. All right, yes. So yes, Richard is a true mechanic. That's exactly what it is. It's 3M's yellow weather stripping. I wasn't even sure they made that stuff anymore. Heck, it's been the 80s and the 90s when I worked on cars, more of the 80s and a little bit of the 90s before I decided to get the hell out of working on cars. And I didn't know if they even still made it or not. Because I went in there and I asked the stupid guy at AutoZone, do you know what that, have you ever heard that term? And Because he acted like I was asking him questions about something else, and he seemed to be very mechanically inclined compared to most people who work at AutoZone. Don't know shit from nothing, and don't know a spark plug from a. I always love that when you call places like AutoZone or Riley's or any of these places, and you call them and say, hey, I need some spark plugs for my V6 Mustang, and they're like, what year is it? You tell them, is it 2-door or 4-door? So the last time I knew, Mustangs only had 2 doors in them, and is it rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive? Well, they don't make Mustangs front-wheel drives. Not in 2000. I don't think they still don't make them in front-wheel drives. And they ask all these stupid. Somebody already guessed what it was, and she can't find it. What you do with it? I don't know. We took it out of the car. Here it is. And give me a paper towel. I don't want the junk on my hand any longer than I have to. I only got my hands clean from all the crap we had to do. So we got that. So those are the things that happened. And so when I went in the AutoZone, he didn't know what it was. And I said, well, do you have any of the 3M product? And he's like, I don't know. Go look over here. And I'm like, sure enough. Well, the tube don't look like it used to do. I don't want to get none on my barrel. Hold the cap. Oh, it's already coming out. Look at that. Now, if that don't look like monkey snot, there you go. How gross can you be tonight? But it's 3M weather stripping. See, when I was a mechanic, you never wore gloves. You didn't wear rubber gloves, or you didn't wear knee pads. And so I got bad knees. I got a bad back from hanging over the hood. You never wore gloves. You had a shop towel in your pocket, and that's what you wiped it on. Now the whole house stinks like this stuff. It's already. I got a film on my fingers from it. Well, she won't tell her what can you remember? What
now? I smell it.
What do you think about when you think of new car tires?
We can't go there. That was a long time ago. Riding like a champ. Now I want to go to some riding weather. There you go. Good luck. It's truly chilly now, high 40s. That's your kind of weather, isn't it, Neil? Fall's on.
Talk about
Harley Frank. Good stuff. 3M adhesive. Yep. That's what I never knew what it was called. It was just monkey snot. That's what my dad called it. That's what he called it. Teleprompter. You guys are staying at Sturgis next year in the same place, different cabin. Oh, that's right, Rex. You figure out where you're staying at next year. I'm in the same place, just in a different cabin. He was talking that. I love that smell. No, I like tires.
He's be a manager.
Of a tire.
She come and visit me one day after we were closed
One weekend
up.
We had to do inventory.
Oh, yeah.
So there, I'll leave it at that. We were
Anytime
there a
she
long
smells
time.
tires, like she goes to Sam's or something, walks through the tires.
I like that smell. Anyway, they're saying hi to Paul.
And so she talked to a campground today. We thought we were going to get him on, but he ends up he couldn't get back. And so this is Shade Valley out there on the other side of the full throttle. What's past full throttle? It's on the other side of the Buffalo Chip out there.
About 7 miles out.
Yep. And they're going to be getting us some video and stuff that we did a talk with them 2 years ago, I guess. So we're going to be getting some video from them here in the next month or so that we'll be able to put a video together and show you a little bit more about their campground and what they've done. And they've done a lot of stuff. The owners that bought it actually were from here. And they actually moved out there now, and they're permanently living on the property out there. Yep. So it's kind of a family-run business. So go ahead and tell them what you know. Okay,
so I talked to Ryan, and he's one of the guys out there. That's who we talked to. If you check our video out on Shade Valley, that's the guy we talked to, most of the time. They do have cabins. They have a few with bathrooms. Those are all rented already. They are planning on building 10 more cabins with bathrooms, but that won't be ready for the 2023 rally. It'll probably be for the 2024 rally. They have RV spaces. They have anything from boondocking to full service, everything. Full hookups. They do have lots of tent spaces. They have just boondocking tent spots. They have tent spots with electric and water. They don't rent any campers like they did when we went there. But you can bring a camper in, like from Jack's Campers, anything like that. They do have their cabins do have refrigerators, air conditionings, and a microwave. They do have some big spots. I think he said pull through, but I didn't write that down, but I think that's what he said.
I think that's what we had was a pull through.
They have about 300 of them. They're 100 foot long by 50 foot wide. I know, I just locked it. Those kids were out there though. We have some neighbor kids that are kind of troublesome. Yeah, they're from East LA and they think they're all that. They have a total, I think he said, of 500 spots. So they do have some spots out there and available. They do have 3 shower houses, and when we were out there, they were all nice and clean and very usable. So if you did want a tent camp or anything, they do have 3 shower houses. Some of the bands that they've had over the past years, they don't have their lineup yet for this year coming up, but they've had Great White, they've had Motley Crue, Uncle Cracker, Stephen Piercy, which is Rip. I think it was one of the guys from Motley Crue. He said a guy's name, but I didn't get it, but from Motley Crue. Queen's Riot was out there, Saliva was out there, Low Cash, Tim, I can't read my own writing, Tim Montaigne. And he said he could go on. I said, well, that's enough, just to kind of give you guys an idea of the bands that they do have out there. Most of them are, I think, like 90s bands. And so anyway, they were just telling me about that.
On the internet?
Do we have what?
Do they have the rates up yet?
I think so. He said you can either call their number, at their Sturgis number, if you look up Shade Valley. I was going to write it down. I didn't do it. Or you can go to shadevalley.com and you can book online. Either way. They do have some vendors out there. Last year they had a tattoo artist, a pinstriper, different things. He said a couple years ago they also had a leather person and a jewelry person. So they do have a few little vendors out there. They also have a big restaurant that opens at 4. That's part of their Eye Candy Saloon. And it's a sit-down dinner. They have steaks and ribeyes and prime rib and fish and all that kind of stuff. They do have breakfast. They call it the Burger Shack. I guess it's like handheld breakfasts, like breakfast burritos or a biscuit sandwich, something like that.
And then we're going to have to find out, because last year they wouldn't let people on the property that didn't already have tickets and stuff or weren't a camper there. So one of the guys actually that manages Home Depot up here, he actually goes out there every year and he knows them real well. And he said, if you stay out there, I think you get a wristband there too, but I don't know how it all works. But with the camping, you get all the concerts and all the stuff they have. But we've had a few of our subscribers went out there to kind of check it out, and they really wouldn't let them on the property. So not quite sure about that. We have to talk to them when if he would have gotten ready to come on, we would have talked to him before he came on and asked him these questions to see what the story was. Because I would think if you're a concert venue, they want to build this up to give Full Throttle and the Buffalo Chip a run for their money. They built a big giant stage. It's all new and all this kind of stuff. And so we'll see what happens years to come. This is a really nice big campground. For us, it was just, but I mean, you guys stay all over the place. For us, we like to stay as central as possible and be as close as possible. And so going out there, it's kind of almost like us first staying at Pipey Hoyle. You're getting farther away from town. Now, you might like that. But if you're going to be traveling anytime around concert time, it's going to suck going to either one of those two during concert time, especially if the Full Throttle or Buffalo Chip's got Kid Rock or somebody like that, where they got 100,000 people trying to get out there and get in and out.
Yeah, it's not up there. Our thumbs up button, I don't see it. I see how many people. Isn't it usually up there?
No, because this is StreamYard. You got to look at your phone.
All right.
That's why I want to do the
That's
live.
what Ryder X says. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Ryder X says he's going to launch his YouTube channel. What's it going to be called, Ryder X? Next week or something? And he says he's expecting 20,000 the first week. That all of you are going to go to his channel and give him a thumbs up.
There you go.
Or
good luck.
Subscribe. I know. One last thing. They do have a general store there that they have beer and soda and all your necessities, toilet paper.
It was nice. So, we stayed out there before. Like I say, different owners. These people have had it now, I think, 6 or 7 years, and we were out there before that. We brought Art out there. We stayed.
8 or 10 years ago.
They had the people that previously owned it knew a lot of people. I don't know if they were locals too. I don't know what the story was about them. We only stayed 1 year, and we didn't have a YouTube channel then. And they had trailers that people that lived around there rented their personal trailers out. So we rented a motor home that was already set up and everything was on the lot. And It was okay, but I mean, at that time, it wasn't too bad for both of us. For all three of us to go out there and stay was around $2,000 for the whole rally, and so it really wasn't too bad a price. Like I say, that's at least 8 years ago, and but
you wore a different color shirt. Your face looks really red.
They probably ain't red anyway. Been out in the sun working.
I wore my hat. Did you see my big old hat?
So,
just keep my lip covered.
So the water's working fine, and I got to get over there before it gets dark to get the last final shots of what they were doing today. It's all done, and I got to wait for the county to come approve that, which we'll find. Won't know that till later this week.
Probably Friday or Monday.
Yeah, guys got to fill all the forms out tonight after he gets all done.
And he was supposed to not be there all day because he's got to study for his contractor's test.
So the guy that originally owned the contracting business that we hired, he died about
just a few months ago. Yeah, not very long.
And so his wife is in the state. I guess the husband had the permit, had the contractor's license. So they let his wife have it for so long. And so now the guy that's always worked with him, partners, kind of like partners, but not really partners, I guess. He didn't have any money involved in it.
Was his right-hand man.
Yeah. He wants the business, but now he's got to pass his contractor's license and all that before. And I think they only got like a month to go, or they're going to lose. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He could be a handyman, I guess. I don't know where that line's at.
Mark says they're going to call it Ryder and Neil's Excellent Adventures. Don't make it a long name. I'm telling you that right now, because that's what he said. He said we should have just stuck to something simple.
It would have been better just the Bob and Tam show. It would have been. It's kind of neat, So it's like the Monkey Man. Now there's other videos like Professional Monkey. If you actually Google that, there's actually a lot of other things called that. I wanted to come up with a name that nobody else had, and like Art.
But there's a Bob and Tom.
Yeah. And Art is like that. Art's last name is Garcia, and he started a thing called Art Garcia's Videos. Well, there's probably 2 million Art Garcia's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't find it. I said, you just send me a link. I've looked through a ton of videos, and none of them are yours. You. And so he sent me a link. I don't know if he's done anything since the first one he did or not, but
we are building a room in the garage,
and we're gonna
have. Rex wants to know if it's a guest room for him. No, but you can come stay at our house.
If we're home, I can stay in the trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mike's coming up. He's going to come up and do help with the
epoxy
if it's not 1,000,000 degrees, and so he's going to come up on the 10th and help with that.
So, and we have to say a big thank you to Ray, our next door neighbor. He came out because did you tell him the trencher story?
That's on the video. They should have seen that video already.
That was insane. Another story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you say? There you go, Neil. Okay. There's another roadkill run, but he doesn't post videos. Well, there you go. It's better when they don't. We'll have to flip.
Well, see, a lot of people come and go, which it is. When people look at YouTube, it's just like here with all these people that came out in Sturgis this year. Half of them probably won't even be around next year because they're going to sit down and figure out that you're not going to get, if you're relying on this to be your business,
or your income,
you're not going to, it's going to be tough. You can be lucky. You can be one of the lucky people. The Monkey Man got very lucky. He's probably doing very well. He's probably making, I don't know, $10,000 a month, maybe even more off of his YouTube channel.
It should be the same as here, the internet. We called this morning. It's the same provider.
Company. Yeah. So we'll have internet out there. I won't have probably at the speed that I have here because I will have to look and see if I can use any of our hotspots or anything that we already have to do lives and stuff out there.
But our phones and stuff work over there. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens when we get over there.
We'll have to do a live from over there and see if it works.
Yeah. When it cools down or you get the air conditioner going. So they get the electric going first. And
yeah, that's another issue.
Emery's not on the night, is he?
No, I haven't seen him. I plan to make $10,000 the first week. Well, I hope you do too, Ryder X. That would be awesome.
Then you'll find out how much work
Good luck.
it is. If you watch today, Steven's out there doing interviews with some of our vendors, and he's like, I can't believe Bob and Tam does this stuff. This is too much work walking around. He did a really good job just for holding the phone and stuff. He did really nice. He was,
well, Mike said the same thing when he did the Bullhead City one. He's like, that's a lot of work.
And people don't realize.
Well, and all they're doing is YouTube. So they're just doing live. They're done once they videotape. Then you got to edit it and upload it. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, people don't realize that. And you see, there was a new gal, not really a new gal. She's been around a little while. But.
Says never use a trencher with tires, tracks only. Because did that one have a tire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what ended up being, when we got back to Home Depot, the manager's there now, the manager of the rental department. And he's like, oh, how'd everything go? I said, it didn't. I said, it kind of sucked. I said, I should have came. Well, I had no idea. I didn't know if any of the other machines they had were any better or not. And so I sat there and talked to the guy, the bald-headed guy you see in the video is the guy that we talked to. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, well, we put a water line in. I said, they told me.
All he asked was, how deep you want to go?
And I said, about 18. Well, he asked where we were at, because I told him he was up by Bill's house.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, yeah, I know where Bill lives. And he's on the video. And he's our main contact for Home Depot.
He is our personal assistant for Home Depot.
Yeah. And he's on our channel too. He's a subscriber. He only works 3 days a week now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so he works from 12:30 till it closes. And but he knows everything. Okay. He knows everything that's in the store and everything that's that. So when we first moved here, we started asking him. So in the trencher, when we started talking to that guy, I told him, I said, well, there's some rocks. I said, I don't know how. He says, oh, most of the places here, once you get down a couple inches, you get through all the rocks and it's going to be like sand or something. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I haven't dug anything out there yet. I said, I know part of our lot where we're doing some work today there is a lot of sand. And a truck got stuck out there. I got it out pretty easily without calling a tow truck or anything. But so the guy said, he said, this will do just fine for you guys. And we'll find out the biggest one they had, which was the Ditch Witch, which has the trencher on it. It's got the tank.
And I'm surprised he didn't take that, because he's always got to get the biggest, best one.
Well, I just assumed it would be $25 more for the day.
You should have asked.
I could have got one with a crane for $25 more than $50.
A bucket.
Yeah.
Like a backhoe.
It would be a little harder, because I would have had to move it and then move it. And that's what I was about ready to go get. And then when someone
was not a happy camper.
So the guy ended up giving us, well, he said $50, but he only gave me $47.70 off back of renting the machine. Well, it ended up being, we were thinking about getting the bigger one, but the bad news was Saturday and Sunday, it was already rented. Somebody else was renting the big one. So I was like, I don't know. I said, we'll go back tomorrow and we'll see what we can do. I said, maybe we can get the first half. I'll get that done and we'll just quit on that. And I'll put a little hydrant out there for the guys working on the lot, because they need water to water down the ground and stuff to help pack everything down. And we'll go from there. And then so we ended up, Ray, my next door neighbor, he came over. Well, we got there about 5:30. He came over and he's like, what's going on? I said, well, first of all, by the time you get to the top, it is all dust that it's trenched out. Well, it's right next to it. The auger doesn't push it out very far. So with the wind,
it's like, here's the thing, and the pile's like right here.
We have 30 to 45 mile an hour winds here
all the time.
That's right. So we do get 60 to 80 mile an hour winds. Some of you people are having that right now in Florida. We have that all the time here. It's a pretty normal wind blow here. We just had 180 miles an hour a week ago.
2 Sundays ago.
And you'll go, there's no way it could be that. Look up what it takes to snap telephone poles off. We lost about a couple hundred telephone poles snapped off. And they're still
like toothpicks.
Yeah. And so they say they will hold to 150 miles an hour before the wind, and nothing hit them. They were just in a field, in a farm field, and they just snapped them off like twigs. And people's roofs blew off, garage doors blew off. So yes, we've been through. They call it microburst out here. They won't tell. They told us it was only 80 miles an hour. But once again, power company will tell you 80 mile an hour winds will not blow our telephone poles down. Might blow lines off, but not the poles, not snap them off. Snap them off at the bottom. They were like 3 foot tall, and the spikes were sticking up from the.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's when we were doing our live that Sunday, and the power went out at the Chili's. That's what happened. I mean, full-grown trees were uprooted and laying on the side of the road. The roots, everything. It was crazy. Anyway, but that's nothing like what's going on in Florida right now.
That's one of the reasons we don't live in Florida. Because people always say that, why don't you guys move to Florida? We don't like hurricanes. We don't like tornadoes to start with. We've had 3 tornadoes come within a block of our house. So I always have a rule. After 3 times, you're out.
Same thing with the fires in California.
Yes. We got evacuated the last 2 times. And after that, I said, we're moving someplace where there ain't no freaking trees around us. So yes, we've been through that too. So here we don't, we have some wind. little bit of dust. We get these micro bursts of rain, but here we might get a rain. It might rain in 15 minutes, and it'll be done in 15 minutes. Now we might get 3 or 4 inches of rain in that short time, but we don't. Our street
it's so dry out here. It's like
it does flood for a second because the drainage here isn't very good, but it doesn't take very long. It's gone. You'll know by the next morning. You won't even know it snowed. It snowed.
It rained. Well, that's what I did. I had washed my tennis shoes because we were over there and it was all muddy and it wasn't dirty, it wasn't muddy, it was dusty. And they were just full of dust and sand and everything. So I washed them and I thought, you know what? I'm just throwing one outside. Within an hour, they were bone dry. Out here, I can do that. I just put my laundry.
But our humidity is still around 28% right now. So it's not like
and it just sucks
normally
the water
it's about
right out of it.
2-3% is what we have. But so it's a little muggier out here, but nothing like Florida or Myrtle Beach or no place like that.
And usually not buggy, but right now there's grasshoppers. I hate grasshoppers. I can't stand them.
I'm gonna get her a tattoo of a grasshopper on her boob so she sees it all the time.
Nope. There's Tim. He says he's on. Tell Pancho hello. Hello, Pancho.
And so that's kind of things. Oh, and the last thing we want to talk about is we are going to Vegas this weekend. Actually, leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to go over to Vegas, and on Friday and Saturday at Red Rock Harley Davidson. It's on the, I guess that would be on the west side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of Vegas. The west and the north end of Vegas.
And so it's in a more of a newer part of Vegas. It's not in the old part like downtown is. And I don't know why you think we're getting too dark.
Well, I thought you look really dark. I don't know. Do you want to try to turn on the big light?
It's fine. Turn the big light on. There's one right over our head. It looks like we're like an angel. And so I turned it off. I didn't bring the lights in I normally bring in because we're going to leave in the morning anyway. Better. We still got to get packed up and
packed the suitcase finally. Yeah. Well, we've been running all day, so I don't know. My back's killing me.
So
I need to hang upside down. What did he say? Local hub group years ago. Does that count? I don't know.
So if you're coming out to Vegas, a couple of you are coming out. We've got a couple of people that are already there now. I think they got there. And I got somebody who's going to come out on Sunday. But hey, Sunday we're probably just going to be able to do dinner with you and that's it because we have to probably get out early. Well, Monday if it's halfway hot, we want to get out of there early anyway. Ride the bike home. Don't want to ride in 100+ degree weather here because right now it could still be 100 for another month here. It looked like it was going to cool down. Vegas hasn't been too bad. It's been in the high 90s.
Well, when we were in Vegas that week, when we were in Vegas? It was, that whole week we were gone. It was in the 90s here. Then we got back, it was in the hundreds. And then all summer while we were gone, they said it never got over 95, but they said it was very humid for here. It was probably 28-30% humidity, but it was only 95. So then we get home and now it's in the hundreds again. I don't know.
Don't know. That is what it is. So the idea is hopefully by the time we leave for Daytona in February, most of everything should be done. That's the goal. It should be pretty close. I should have enough to where we can get you, maybe the bathroom and stuff may not be all done in there. Yeah, that's not a real big priority. Guy next door's got a Johnny on the spot outside. So I'm going to use one. It's over there. It's not too bad.
What happened to him today?
Johnny on the spot?
No.
Oh, my neighbor. He's a contractor. He might watch your channel. He's a contractor, and he bought this lot next door to us after we bought our lot. So when we came back last year after the spring rallies, waiting for it to come to Sturgis,
we got to meet him.
Yeah, we met him, and he's like, "Oh man, I put up steel buildings, and my building's going up here in the next couple months." I'm like, "Really?" I said, "It took us a year." I said, "Our building's not even here yet." And
we ordered it in August, and they said it wouldn't be here until
it actually got here in about 11 months, but by the time they got to put it up, it was pretty much because they didn't really put the building up until after we got back from Sturgis. So actually, it was a little over a year from the time we ordered it.
I think the steel posts were up
because they poured the concrete before we left to go to Sturgis, and so ends up being his lot. Well, see, we have to put septic where we're at because there is no sewer. It's a couple blocks away because I'm in agricultural. He's not. His lot right next door. When you look at the video that I'm putting up, which will be up Friday, and it's come up on a couple other videos, you see a fifth wheel next to us. That's the lot next door to us. A fifth wheel sitting there, some heavy equipment sitting there, backhoe, a grader, a couple of things sitting out there. And that's my neighbor. And so when we got home, he hadn't got nothing done. Well, while we were up in Sturgis or someplace, we called him for something. Oh, he called us because they were using his water. When they were pouring the basement, or when they were pouring the basement, pouring the slab for the building, and they were using his water. He's like, you have water out there? And I'm like, he says, you need to get a water meter put in. He says, they've been using my water. And I'm like, yeah, we'll call. And she called down me. She goes, I'll put a spigot on there for you right at the meter like I got, so they can use your water from now on. He never did any of that.
Well, I think he tried because you could tell where the box was cut out. I don't know. I think he tried.
I don't think he did nothing. I didn't have that much trouble getting it hooked up. So today I'm out there with the contractor that's out there today working, and the water company pulls up. And this is an acre lot, so we're 250 feet away from where the gas guy, water guy's at. And I thought he'd just reading a meter. And the guy that I'm with, he's like, he's locking on a meter up there. Well, we only owe $5 because I guess we overpaid for our initial turn on and to have the meter set.
So last month we had a credit, a $14 credit. Yeah. So this month the bill was only $5.
Yeah, the water wasn't hooked up till this week, so there wasn't any water used at all. And so we're just paying that bare minimum charge. So I will start walking out there and I'm like, which meter are you turning? Because both meters are in the same box. And I'm like, which meter are you turning off? He's like, oh, over there. I said, well, I was hoping you weren't turning me off. I said, I think we only owe $5. He says, oh, I get in trouble if I turn somebody off for $5. So this contractor next door, they locked him out. And I don't know if he's ever paid his water bill. I don't think the water company here it's not like the electric company here. If you go 1 month, you miss the electric bill, they want a $600 deposit next time for your electric.
Turn you back on.
And they only give you 50. They don't even give you 30 days to pay it. They give you the bill. You got 15 days to pay your bill. And if you miss it, because we happened to that, because we were still living in California when I got this house. So when I got the bill, I just assumed like everything else, you got 30 days to pay it. And so we missed a couple of months. We were behind. Next thing you know, I get this thing in the mail saying you need to pay $600. I don't know. What do you mean $600 for what? A deposit for what? They said, well, that's the average use of electricity. I said, our average use is $75. So I don't know where you got. Well, the guy that owned the house before us lived here. He got divorced. He moved out. His wife disappeared, and he rented the house out. We got a third garage that's not really attached to the house. It's up against it, but it's not. You got to go out to get into it.
You have to go outside.
It was a pot distillery. Before pot distilleries were legal. We found that out from the guy behind us, Joey, which owns the furniture store down the street. We have a whole lot of excitement here in our little town.
We have a little faint place, just like our YouTube channel.
Charlie next door, Chinaman Charlie, that used to own the original Sandbar bar here. They had the best hamburgers in the world, which never ate there. Didn't know. We always seen the bar there, but
anyway,
next door.
You're going roundabout to get your story.
Yeah, I don't know what the story was.
I told you. But my girlfriend just texted me from Florida, and she says things are better now. She'll text me in the morning, so I'm glad to hear that.
They must be out of the eye. They must be out of the end of the storm.
Because she called me and says, I just want to call and tell you I love you because it's getting really bad here. And I'm like, don't do that. I was like freaking out and I couldn't hardly hear her. And then she said the roof of the hospital next door caved in. And
I already told everybody that.
I know, but there's some people that just came on. Anyway, prayers for all you guys in Florida.
And on the way, all the way up, because there's going to be tornadoes and all this crazy stuff.
Rain.
All the way up to Washington, D.C. So they're saying it could be all the way. And you never know what these patterns, it could miss Myrtle Beach altogether, but you're probably still going to get the rain and all that. You always get all that. And when these storms like this, they're saying because this is going so slow, it's going to dump a lot. And we worry about that because like in between the rallies, we stay in Orlando. That's one of our camping clubs. And
well, the one we stay at in Port Charlotte, when we go visit my friend, I'm on their email list for some reason, or their text list. I guess last time we stayed, they must have threw me on that list saying I was a permanent resident. So I get these texts all the time. So 3 or 4 days ago, I get a text and it said, just want to let you know that you have to be out by this day because of mandatory evacuation. That's how I knew there was a hurricane coming. So I wrote my friend, and then I keep getting these texts from this campground in Port Charlotte, and it said, everybody has to be out by this time. And you can't stay at the lodge because it's not a safety shelter and all this stuff. And everything's going to be closed and you have to be off premises at whatever. This was like
probably 75% of the trailers that are there are park models. So a lot of people live there year round. Not 75% of the people. A lot of the trailers are empty when we've been there.
How are you doing, Deb and Mike? I forgot about you guys. You're on the other side there in Fort Lauderdale. Was crazy for a few days down here in Florida. So how was it today? Was it not too bad?
I guess their storm goes up because it's like the Monkey Man. He put something out the other day saying he was bolting down the hatches.
Batting down the hatches.
And it was raining when he had rode, and so I don't think he's put nothing out since. But what you could be, it could be power outages and stuff in Florida. There could be a lot of stuff, and it's rain. Have to wait and see what Disneyland does. Disney World, I guess it is down there.
Yeah, World.
When they open up again, that should show you that, hey, the world's all better again, because Disney World opens up. The Magic Kingdom.
I know.
So if you're going to start, hey, if you're in Florida, get the hell out of Florida and come on out to Vegas this weekend.
There you go. We'll be there.
But you can't rent motorcycles from the Harley dealer. I thought, which they always had this big rental thing, but I think they got a guy in there that's from Easy Rider, and you pick them up down on D. Martin Drive, which is just down the street from the Harley dealer. And
across the strip, and then turn left
is D. Martin Drive. But it runs all the way down to Tropicana. D. Martin does. He's dead. D. Martin.
And we could have crashed his funeral. We were out in California when he died. Remember that very first time we went out? It was 1995. Dean Martin, they said Dean Martin died and his funeral was going to be the next day. And I'm like, hey, we could go see what we could see. Crash a funeral.
We should have went to Sonny's from the Hells Angels. It had 7,000 people. So there was no trouble. There was no nothing. A couple people put videos out about it. I would have went.
Where was that at?
I think it was up around Sacramento. I forget the exact. It starts with an S.
Wow.
And so it wasn't that far away.
In here?
California.
Oh, California.
Sacramento, up that area.
Oh,
Sarasota, whatever. I don't know. I can't think of the time. But it's in California.
Sacramento, Stockton?
Maybe it was Stockton.
Stockton doesn't have good memories either.
So.
My phone, the eagle behind you looks like he has his beak in your head. There he is.
Yep, that's a picture. I bought that one. I have a picture on the wall over here that I was always going to sell this. I'll go get my good picture. I took this.
Are you going to be able to get it back up there?
I don't know. Probably. Geez, you look to the wall.
I don't know. You're the one that put them up. You'll probably have to put it way back there. Put it up in front of that one. So he took that picture. Yeah, I guess you can see it. And everybody comes over, they're like, wow, that's a cool picture. And he's like, yeah, I took that picture. That's us coming through the tunnel. And they're like, wow, that's really cool.
Nobody ever figures, how can I take a freaking picture if I was on the bike?
What's somebody else?
That's me, and that's Art behind us. But he had that Kelly on the back.
He just happened to take it when somebody was coming through, and it turned out really good. So he had that mounted on that. It's the one that's on the wood.
I was always going to reproduce it and sell them.
Yeah.
Because I figured, heck, I could probably get $75 to $100 probably for that picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Prayers for you guys. That's what Devin Mike said. A lot of tunnels, a lot of tornadoes touched down last night around him. I know they showed where the tornado warnings were in Florida, and it was like pretty much everything but the panhandle.
We didn't know that when we were in Florida.
The first time we went,
we just assumed Florida only had hurricanes. We had no idea you had double dose of stuff. Because like we lived up in the Midwest, we had tornadoes. We never had a hurricane. Never seen a hurricane in our life. And in California, it doesn't have any hurricanes either. So we've never had that type of thing. But California has no tornadoes either. They'll tell you they have funnel clouds. It's like we have dust bowls out here bigger than their water spouts that they have in the water. They're not tornadoes.
They look like
California people like to exaggerate stuff. It's all about that.
But anyway, I don't know what we were talking about. But I'm glad you're okay, Devin Mike. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of you guys. I texted a lot of people I know that watch that are from Florida.
Well, I know you're going to miss people because there's probably hundreds of people that watch us from Florida.
And there's probably some that I have on my list, but I don't really realize they're from Florida. But Devin Mike I knew, but I don't know. I was thinking that the West Coast
some of the things we still got to go because the garage video did really good. It's up, I think it's 17, almost 2,000 views. A lot of people like about the garage. So we have a lot of stuff about that. I don't know how involved you want to see when we can start doing inside. If you really want to see every day, how far I get each day on like when I'm putting up the walls. They're not called walls. They're, I don't know. Can't think what they're called. Hook a bunch of 2x4s together before you put the drywall on.
Oh.
The framing. When you do the framing. There you go.
The framing.
I knew I'd think of it. And so I maybe end up doing a lot of that myself. So I don't know. Hey, Ryder X, you can come out when you leaving? She's moving me.
November, yep, I'm leaving him November 8th through like the 12th. Might be a little longer than that. October, November. The 8th through the 13th.
Leaving I'll be with home the other
grandma. 2 grandmas are going to go on a road trip. We're going to go watch 2 of the grandsons. We share
a handful.
Well, whenever she meets people, she's like, "Oh, I want you to meet. We share grandkids." And it's like her son is married to my daughter, and then they're like, "Oh, okay," because she gets all excited and
she wants to call us like grandma and grandpa-in-laws. That's not what you say. She's from Georgia.
Well, those 2 grandsons call me Mama, and she can't say Mama. She says, mina, mama, and I'm like, ma, like grandma. Don't say the grand, just say the ma.
We're Ma and Paul.
Yeah, Mom, Paul Kettle, if y'all know who that is.
How old are you? That's back when TV was really good. You sit down there and think about all the crappy shows that are on today and think about all those. Then you wonder why all this stuff goes on. It's like, I know I'm going to get into stuff we probably shouldn't talk about. But I mean, it's like they said the number one thing killing kids today is suicide. And I'm like, so Jim, which is our daughter's father-in-law, I asked him, he's older than us. He's almost, is he 70?
He'll Jim. Be 70 in December.
So I 1st. Said, do you know anybody when you were in school, grade school, high school, that ever committed suicide? No, we know some kids that got killed in car accidents because they did stupid stuff, but they weren't trying to kill themselves. I don't know anybody. I still don't know anybody today.
Accidental guns. They're cleaning the gun and they shot their brother because they're.
And so, stupid stuff can happen. We had more people getting abducted. A couple girls got picked up and never did find them. And so weird things like that happened in high school and stuff. But it's not, now these kids are they're so stressed out.
And they say it's from bullying. Well, we got bullied.
That's part of life. You learn to cope with it. Well, now that's why I said I tell my grandkids that they're all my oldest one's 17, going to be 17 soon
in May,
and he's a junior.
No, he's a sophomore because they held him back a year.
And so I tell him, I said, he's like, oh, it's so tough in school.
You don't know.
And I'm like, dude, you have no idea. You are living through the easiest part of the rest of your life. Because once you get out of high school, you got to get a freaking job and you got to work the rest of your freaking life till you die. You got to work. If you don't work, you got no money. Well, nowadays, I don't know how all these people don't work. But it's like
everybody's looking for.
So that's why I said in 20 to 30 years, I'll closer to 20 probably, 15 to 20 years from now, the United States is going to die because we're not going to have anybody knows how to fly an airplane. Nobody knows how to land an airplane. Traffic controller. You're going to have nobody that works on cars. Nobody that's an electrician. Nobody that's a plumber. Why? Because none of these stupid kids want to do that. They want to go to college, get some stupid degree, and work at Walmart. And it's like somebody we just talked to last night. Their kid's going to college. And I'm like, what are they doing? Oh, they've been going for about 6 years. Well, we just talked to somebody else that said their kid went to be a doctor. Spent 8 years. It's a friend of his. And 8 years. So the kid's out of college now. And they said, what are you doing now? What's your son doing now? Oh, I guess Jim told me that last night. He's an X-ray tech, part-time X-ray tech. Good school, which you could have went for 2 years and been an X-ray tech?
At a junior college. That's what I did. 2 years junior college and 1 year.
Well, then you only had to go to 6 months, didn't you, to be an X-ray tech?
No, it was 2 years. Oh, I had to get my associates.
And so she became a radiation therapist, so she stayed a little longer. But it's just like, 1 more year. It's what I tell my grandkids. It's right now, it's useless. Because even if you wanted to be a doctor, where are you going to get a job when you come out at? Unless you've got a family, like let's say you are a doctor and you want your son to take over your practice when you leave. Well, that's great. Or a family member, you got somebody that's going to get them into a good job. But if I come out and I'm a doctor, who's going to give me a job? Just like a lawyer.
Well, you can't really make any money anymore being a doctor because of the insurance companies. Because the insurance companies rule your life as a doctor. I know, I worked in a hospital. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't prescribe this, you can't prescribe that unless they say you can. You can't see that patient too often, and it's run and ruled by the insurance companies. And they take the majority of the money and they give the doctors a little bit.
That's why you see, when I was a kid, even until when we got married, you used to go in the doctor's office, you sat there for 45 minutes with them. You know, they would talk to you and check you all out. Now you have the nurse comes in and takes your blood pressure and does all the stuff like that. Doctor comes in for 2 minutes and goes, "Oh, I'll renew your prescription. See you next year." I kind of want to. Oh, sorry, you didn't have an appointment for that. You can't talk about that.
Oh, I know. If you don't tell them before you go what you want to talk to them about, you can't talk to them. You have to make another appointment.
So we've been going to the same doctor
and
for
you can only do up to 3 things.
So that's a whole nother. So which it is, which a lot of you probably already know this, and some of you may already have kids, and I don't know. I really feel, hopefully I won't live that long to have to live through all the stuff that's going to happen. You know, and people think it's bad now. These kids are
going to be, you know what I think, because I just seen it again. They're paying kids to become airline pilots. I've always wanted to fly a plane. I think it'd be pretty cool. And I was like, trying to tell my grandsons, you go to school to learn how to fly a plane. They'll teach you. You don't have to have the student loan when you get out. You'll have a job, and they pay everything.
Here they were offering in Arizona last year before we went to Sturgis a year ago. $50,000. They were offering juniors and seniors in high school $50,000 sign-on bonus. Would pay for all your airline school and your board, and you only had to sign a 5-year contract. That when you came out, you had to fly for them for 5 years. TWA, it was all big airline companies.
TWA is not in service.
Well, whatever. I don't know who it was.
Teeny weeny airlines. Yeah. My mom worked for them for like a minute.
And but I mean, it's I don't know. It's all these.
It was a commercial on TV last night. You didn't see that? They were calling kids to be, or young adults, I don't know, whatever they said, to be airline pilots. Yeah.
And there's going to be a shortage everywhere on every kind of job because nobody wants to work anymore. And it's, you know, and
I guess we're
probably getting way
blue collar workers.
Well, there is no blue collar workers anymore. You got people that are living on minimum wage. And if you're one of these people living on minimum wage, I'm sorry. Last time we worked for minimum wage, we were 16 years old. And from 17 years old and up, we never worked for minimum wage ever again.
Maybe. I'll have to call and see.
What?
He said, I'll sign up for that. Calypso Notch said that. He said, is that for anybody? It's out here in Arizona.
Well, I don't know if they're still offering it. They offered it was a year ago.
Yeah. But they were saying they wanted to get kids out of high school because I guess they probably wanted to train them the way they wanted to be trained.
They wanted any bad habits.
Yeah. So the whole thing is a big corporate con job. I know. It's crazy. The whole world's gone nuts. Jesus is coming soon. Make sure you're right with Jesus. I'm telling you right now.
So I always tell people, which it is. It's the service industry. See, that's with America. And this happened just in the last 10, 15 years. What is America known for? What is our big export? That's right. We don't have any. Our big export is tourism. That's why during this pandemic, it killed us. Before it even got to the United States really bad, you know, when they had it over in Europe and all that, and the people couldn't come over here and spend money, these states died because that's what they rely on. California, Florida, New York, all these tourist area, Myrtle Beach, all these places rely on tourists to come in. So that it's all these jobs are in the tourist industry. And that's what we do here in America. We are tourists, you know, experts. And it's sad that, you know, when I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, we made, you know, automobiles, we made furnaces. I worked at an air conditioning company called Singer that got bought out, and now they're all made overseas. But I mean, when I was in high school, it was one of my jobs when I was dating her. It was my summer job. I was summer relief working in an air conditioning plant, putting Singer air conditioners. Yeah, putting air conditioners together all the way up.
My aunt worked at the stove company.
Yeah.
They manufactured stoves.
If you've got a wall furnace,
stove.
If you've got a wall furnace, their company is still there. I don't know if it's still there or not. It was there when I worked for the gas company. But most of those are all made overseas too. Almost everything used to be made here. The only thing you ever got, you had to go to like the nickel or dime store to get the Chinese junk. You know, junk plastic toy or whatever it was for a nickel or something. You didn't buy anything, and everything was made in America. You know, and people made good money. My parents, we had a new car in the driveway. You know, they didn't get a car every year. 5 or 6 years, they get another new car. We had a nice new house that they got. You know, it was only $18,000 back then, but hey, it was big money back then. You know, they didn't make that much money. House payment was only $175 a month or something. And but people could afford that. Now you look at it, the average person, like our daughter and our son-in-law, they live in California. They're making probably about $150,000. They can't afford to buy a house. It's pretty sad. And people live here now where we're at. Our house is doubled in price that we're in right now, and the people that live here can't buy it. Oh, you know our highest paying job here in town is Starbucks. A bassista, what do they call that?
Batista? No. That's a wrestling guy.
Whatever the coffee people are. We don't drink
barista.
Coffee. Yeah.
Barista.
$22.40. They're paying an hour.
That's the highest paying job in town.
That's right. And most of the jobs here pay, like the guys that built my building, they make $18 an hour. So that's why I said it's the casinos over there pay 14, 15 bucks an hour. So there's these people that have been doing those jobs for forever. And now they come up with all these crazy jobs. You know, our McDonald's is starting you out at, I think it's 14.50 an hour to start at McDonald's.
Or 16, something
and
like that.
then, well, that's it. The sign out front said 14.50. The girl, they hired a lady that worked 30 years at a casino over here, and she's making $16.80 now because the casinos wouldn't pay over $15 an hour.
Glenn wants to know how the gear's doing and that speed's put in your bike, the gear drive.
Not too bad. I need to get it adjusted again.
Man of War thing?
Yeah, I need to get it adjusted again. What you're going to have to remember with that thing is probably, now I don't know. I know in this case, see what ended up happening with the motorcycle, which I'm probably going to get Speeds on here one day to talk about it, is we had a problem with the bike when they got it, put it back together the first time. It didn't show up on the video. Everything was perfect. They measured it. It's got to be no more than a half an inch of play in your chain. No more, no less. It's got to be right at it. If not, it makes noise and it rattles. It sounds like a box of rocks. And so the first time they did it, they started it up. It was quiet as you could get, like a brand new bike. But they couldn't pull the clutch in. So that we're going to get them on one day. I asked a bunch of people, nobody ever came up with an answer what they thought. I don't know if anybody even answered the question. But what would cause that by taking the clutches off and the compensator, taking all that stuff off, and you put it all back together, and it's all back together right, what would cause the clutch, hydraulic clutch now, what would cause it not to be able to pull it in? They didn't even know. Even the guy from Man of War had no idea. They ended up calling, I don't know who they called. I'll have to find out who they called.
The guy from Speeds. Scott didn't know. I think they called Scott, and Scott told him to call somebody else, and it's the other guy that knew.
And so it was very interesting. And all of them stood there and said, never seen anything like that before. Well, see, most bikes, for years, everything was a cable.
S&S.
Yeah, it was from S&S. And because Scott's the guy almost everybody talks to, the kind of the know-it-all guy on engines and stuff. And so he couldn't even answer the question. They had to talk to somebody else to get the answer. So it was very interesting. So the very first time, everything was quiet. Well, then what happened was they had to take it all back apart because they took it apart trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this. You know,
they had no idea.
They thought maybe that something wasn't lined up right. And he's like, no, everything is right. And they all looked at it and they're like, yeah, everything looks good. Put it all back together. Well, they did. I don't think they spent as much time making sure it was that half inch as they did the first time they put it together. So after we left, it makes a little bit of noise now. It rattles. And so I'm not going to badmouth it yet until we take it apart and have it adjusted.
Readjusted.
I was thinking about doing it myself, but we don't have time to go. And I don't know if they'll have time when I'm over in Vegas. We rode it the whole time in
Sturgis.
Yeah. Because we did it before Sturgis. So we did 1,400, 1,500 miles, and it rattles, and you can hear us when we pull up with it. And but it's running fine. It shifts fine. It's easier now which some people say that they don't understand why it would be easier to put in neutral by changing the compensator. I think the difference is because that torque that's on your engine, when you're sitting there, and somebody said, well, you could double clutch it. Well, yeah, but you shouldn't have to. You should be able to just pull your clutch in and shift it, and it should be able to find neutral. You shouldn't shift it and it goes in the second. You shift it again, it goes back in the first, second. You can't get it in there. Or you got to keep popping the clutch to get it to get in there. Well, no, you shouldn't have to do that. And so I Googled it. And actually, after Googling it, I found quite a few professional people and companies that actually said that that's one of the signs of a bad compensator is it's hard to get it into neutral.
That was wrong with my Sportster. Remember how hard it was? Because my Sportster, it had to be in neutral to start it, or it wouldn't start. And it was a pain to get into neutral.
And they said that year, because we thought it had a clutch switch, and they're like, no, that year
was 2007.
You had to start it in neutral. And I'm like, that's weird. I've never Never had a motorcycle you had to start it. You always could pull a clutch and it would start. So I don't know about that.
Not a 2007 Sportster.
Yeah. So at that point, I still would recommend it. They told me, and that's one of the things that the guy from Warhorse said. Dark Horse said that a lot of people complain about it because it is a noisier compensator. Well, he says if it's done right, everything's set where it's supposed to be, which the video, that's why he wanted to do the video. I don't know if it's on their website or not. They were going to put the video on their website. I told them we could cut it down if they wanted it shorter or not. But they said they liked it. And so but see, there's other ones out there. The other one starts with a B. Baker? Maybe it's Baker. And I've heard a lot of complaints about that. Even people that are in the business that work on bikes said that a Baker one doesn't last at all. It's worse than a
Well, they
Harley
said
one.
you'd really have this thing would never fail.
Well, and then it's rebuildable too, so you can have it rebuilt.
The little parts inside you can redo, and I think he said it was like $85 for the kit.
No, I didn't know. I think it was like $15 or $20.
But anyway, so the components of it is like steel, like it's very well made. That's never going to go out, but I guess the rubber and the rings and all that stuff.
See, people that are doing like Rider X, he needs to change his compensator. If not, he will eventually tear his transmission out of his motorcycle because it's not right now. You're taking all that torque from that big old engine you shoved in there, and you're sending it down to the compensator that cannot handle that kind of power. It couldn't handle the power you had on your bike to start with because Harley doesn't make a very good compensator, which I didn't know that. And it could be why mine was a 110. I never really pushed it hard, but it's still, there was more power there than what a 103 would have been or a 98 would have been. So maybe that's what it was. Like another guy wrote me, he's got a 110 and he's got 40,000 miles and his is making some noise. And he wanted me to, if I was going to recommend this or not. At this point, I'm still recommending it. I want to try one more time. Either I'm going to adjust it or I'm going to have somebody adjust it and we're going to film it. And because I didn't watch it the second time, she didn't watch it the second time. And I think the guy from Dark Horse didn't watch it either the second time when he adjusted it up. And I'm not blaming Speeds for not adjusting it right.
I remember them measuring it again because they have the little ruler and everything. And I remember them doing it the second time.
But it was different, too. But it was quieter the first time.
It was.
Well,
neutral on my 22 light is a real frustration. Could be the compensator. I don't know.
So I don't know. So I can just say now my bike is so easy to put in neutral. This bike has always been a pain in the ass. My old bike, the other two bikes I had were never really that hard. I'm not a guy that puts my bike in neutral to start with. When I turn my bike off, it's in gear. I always leave my bike in gear. And a lot of guys don't like that. I always do it because I don't want my bike to roll away. By keeping it in gear, it ain't gonna roll away. If it's in neutral, it's a whole lot easier for it to move than it is if it's in gear.
Like if somebody bumps it or something and it could.
And so I've always done that. And then, so I don't normally put it in neutral unless I'm going to push it. You know, I'm backing it up or pushing it forward because pulling the clutch in is you still got to drag, you're turning all that.
All the compensators aren't bad. It's the little ring that goes inside of the compensator that will break.
It still makes it, but Harley's compensator is all one piece. So it makes it bad. Well, it is. It's not like you can take that little ring out and fix it.
He missed that part, huh?
Right.
Palmoto said he's really enjoying the garage builds, and he said he liked the Home Depot video today, or I guess the one he watched today.
Yeah.
He must have watched it today. And then Neil says we covered the garage build earlier. He doesn't want to revisit that issue.
And we got more. We got another video, hopefully. Well, tomorrow's going to be about the chaos of the rental car. And if you're on Patreon, you got the $9, got to see that already. They already know. They got to see it yesterday.
But there was a couple more issues besides what we even did on
so we talked about that.
So you have to go watch the beginning of this video.
Let's see what it is.
The last Harley I had was easy to find neutral. It was a 91 Softail Custom.
And most of my bikes, I don't ever have any real trouble with finding neutral. But I mean, well, see, since I started getting Harleys, I started riding a lot. Well, we moved to California. That's when I bought my first Harley, was when I lived in California. That's when we rode. We would ride about 20 to 25,000 miles every year, and I never rode it to work, and I never went on any long trips. We just rode every weekend. We'd ride 300, 500 miles on a Saturday and a Sunday. Never really go anywhere. Go someplace to eat lunch, or we go up the coast. Because in California, you could pretty much ride every day of the year. There was never really, if it's too hot, we went to the beach and rode along the coastline. If it was too cool in the day, we go on out to Palm Desert and go right out there. If it was really hot, maybe we'd go up into Big Bear and right up there. That's really good twisty roads up there to ride on. As long as stupid cars don't come over in your lane.
A couple people got picked up.
Yeah, that happens a lot up there. And so yeah, it's that's the one thing I can always say about California. No matter what anybody says, they've got some of the best riding there is.
You can always ride somewhere every weekend, no matter what the weather is.
And if it's going to rain, it don't rain very long, and it clears up pretty quick. And like I said, we pretty much for about 2 or 3 years, we pretty much rode every weekend. I used to work a 1 to 9 shift when I worked for the gas company, so I was always off on Saturdays and Sundays. And I got enough seniority, and I talked to all these stupid young kids to work overtime. Because you're young, save that money, save that money. And so I never had to work my Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep.
Gave away all my own calls. Didn't like that crap either. I did a couple holidays, but didn't like that either. Don't like working overtime. Yeah. Done that, been there, don't want to do it anymore.
Well, his brother's total opposite. He'd work 24/7 if he could. And
we thought he'd die at work, but he finally did retire.
He did. So
now he sits on a couch.
Hopefully he'll come out and help if you don't give him a heart attack. So Ralph's on with the Bulldog. Are you still in Sturgis, or have you made your way back up to Carmel?
So a lot of things going on. So this weekend we're going to
Vegas.
We'll be there till Monday. We'll come back here Monday. And so next Wednesday, we should have some guests on next Wednesday. And we'll figure out who that's going to be. We kind of waited too long this week, because it got, well, with the working on the garage and stuff, like I say, we didn't get a lot of videos out this last week. I haven't had time to do any video work. We've been messing with that stupid thing all day and running around getting this and getting that and getting this lined up and that lined up. And so I'm trying to get my videos ahead. So we got a video for tomorrow that's going to come out, and I'm working on a video right now for Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're probably going to go live early in the afternoon. Football's on or not, whatever. But we might even go Friday afternoon too. You might end up having 2 videos on Friday. Or maybe I'll hold the Friday video till Monday and let it come out on Monday. We'll just see.
Side of mountains.
So, I don't know. I think we've been on quite a while. It's getting dark outside.
Yeah, hour and a half.
Yeah. 61 people are on, so you can wrap it up if you want. Anybody got any last questions about that? And then we got a big surprise at the end of October. No, we are not showing up in Florida. But a big surprise that you'll all be going, what the heck did you people go there for? Which you're going to see.
Birthday week.
We're going to end up having about 20 freaking, which I still got 12 videos from Sturgis that I didn't finish from this year.
Then you want to do pre-Sturgis.
Now I got all this Oregon stuff that we want to show you, these great rides that you can go on, and we'll take you on them. I got to do all those yet. Then we got the garage I'm working on. I got to get all those videos done. Well, I only have one video I'm working on right now in the garage. And I just thought of something else, my biker bar. I thought about that. I said, this is a quick video I could do on the biker bar. And
didn't do that today either.
No. And I'll be one for next week. I just don't want to forget about it. I was going to throw the part away, and I decided not to throw the part away. That was part of the biker bar. Yep. I said, that'd be good for a good quick video I could do. And so pretty soon we'll be doing some install videos. I got to get my handlebars yet and put them on. And we got to get electric. First of all, I'm not going to do no freaking work over there inside that building when it's 100 freaking degrees. Plus, we got no electricity. Got to drag the generator over there next week. And whatever we do.
Well, I've been taking the little orange box.
We have a power box. One of those battery, what do they call those things? No, they call them something.
Power pack.
No, they call them something else. They don't call them that.
Do you guys know what a power pack is?
What do they call these things now that you charge up and you can use it? There's a word for it.
Go get it. It's right there.
But it's not a power pack. If you look it up on the internet, it is not a power pack. They call it something different now.
How old was you when?
A generator.
He got his first bike when he was 14 for his 8th grade graduation. That was his present. And then he had mini bikes before that. So is that not a power pack? Well, you charge it up.
I know, but somebody will tell you what it is. Somebody should say it pretty soon.
Yeah,
what are those called?
Sakona National Park. We did the redwoods.
So when I was a kid, I worked my whole life. I started out about
to get his crap out of this garage.
9 or 10 years old, I started with a paper route. So my first 10-speed bike, Swin, my mom and dad couldn't afford to buy it for me, even though we had a new house and a new car. And well, my brother and sister were older than me, and they were still at home. And my mom didn't work. My dad was the only one who worked. And so I had to buy my own 10-speed bike from Swin. I saved my money up my paper route. It was $126 for my Swin.
Battery pack.
No, it's not called that either.
So, Ryder X, did you want to come out in November when I leave to go babysit the grandkids with the other grandma? Tam's correct, 100%.
No. I will look it up. Let me find it because everybody talks about it. Well, all you gotta do is go to your buddy. What's the guy and the old guy with the beard that lives in a van?
Yeah.
He talks about him all the time.
Russ.
No, not Russ.
RV TV.
No. The old guy. Bob. Yes. Go to Bob's channel and you look up him, and he'll have a ton of videos on it. What they call them.
Power pack.
Okay, hit up the power pack and see what you get. Mm-hmm. There's what you get.
Well, that's not very similar.
That's similar, but that's not what I'm telling you.
Right there.
Okay, look and see what they call it now. A generator. Yeah, no, that's close, but that's not. Let me hit that. There's a word they call them now.
Is it what's that? Not infuser, but the inverter. Is it?
Jackie makes it. It's a portable power station with a
power bank.
No, they got a different name. They call it. They got some stupid name. Usually they show you other options that you could look at too.
9 millimeters. James said power pack too. Laugh out loud.
Generators. They call them that's not really the word they're using either for them. I don't know, because I had a heck of a time finding this one when I was because I had to get the cable for it, because this one you can charge off of solar. And I had solar for a while in my car.
Solar generator, Lifer Nav 33 in Sandy.
Solar generator is composed of a portable power station. I guess this power station is part of it, but it's a solar panel, solar Sega, and all the other crap that goes wrong.
Docking, mini-mart, RVs, beginning of Von Necker Canyon, great views of Sturgis and Highway 90. And a mini-mart near Arby's, the beginning of Von Necker. Okay, I know where that's at. That's at the Arby's by the Big D's. Is it in the Big D's parking lot?
What?
Jackery.
That's a name too, I've heard. But I can't think of it. What's that guy's, Bob? What does he call his channel?
Cheap Living RV?
Cheap.
Portable here. He's got one on here for the Amazon.
Oh, we're not going to click. I can't click on that with the screen. Yeah, cheap RV living. Let me look at his videos. He's always doing a video on them. Everybody does, but they got a weird name because it always takes me a hard time to find it when I wanted to order another one.
Bob Wells. Yep, yeah, that's him.
I was looking to see. He does so many freaking videos. He puts about as many videos out that we do.
He does. He's a good guy, though.
He's got nothing better to do.
Yep. A Glockatator. Glackulator. Glockatator. It's called the Glockatator. I don't know.
That's not the name I was looking when I ordered it. I don't know.
Copy and paste. I don't know if I can even copy and paste that.
You can't. Well, you could off of this. If you got on your phone, you could click on it from your phone. I don't know. I'm not going to spend more time looking for this stupid thing.
All right. But anyway, that's what it is. Ryder X says, I'm telling you, they're called power banks. I don't know.
When you look at a power bank, that's what you use with that little thing you use to charge your phone. That's a power bank. See, these, I guess, because you can solar charge them. See, the difference is, I guess, is because you can use it once it gets, I guess, to using it for 110. I think that's what changes it from being a power pack. I think a power pack are mostly 12-volt system type things that are charging. I'm assuming that's what it is. We have a power pack, too. There's one in there we use for charging up the phones. It's in the bag.
Oh, yeah, that little.
It's got a little flashlight on it but it is a power pack. It's basically a battery inside of it. I guess these things have got lithium batteries are supposed to be inside of them. So,
but anyway, we took that over to the garage because it was so darn hot, and I took one of the fans, and anyway, we had a little bit of air because on the side of the garage in the morning, it's really nice. It's all shady, and then the breeze. Because out here, if you're in the shade, it doesn't feel that bad. So then we had the breeze with the fan, and took water and his tea, and we were all set.
Yeah. So I rolled the generator out because we haven't even bought the generator 2 years ago, I think.
At Black Friday special.
And it's been sitting in the garage all along because it'll run on propane or I can run it on gas. I always wanted to run it on propane, but you don't get as much wattage out of it. I think it's 3,500.
Power converter.
And that might be it. I don't know. It seems like there was another name they do call it. I'd have to look for it. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
G5. I don't know.
There's all different ones out there. And this is one I bought because what I was doing is for a while, I lived in a car. And I lived in the family truckster we have. I made it all up. And I put a wooden deck in it. You lifted it up and you could had all my clothes and stuff in it. And then on the one side, you could lift it up. And that's where I have a 12-volt refrigerator, ice box, and can keep my stuff in it. Well, the problem with the power pack was it would never charge up enough during the day to make it all night long. So
I put solar panels on the roof.
I put 2 solar panels because it was only supposed to use 1. But during the day, it was always keeping the refrigerator cold. So it would never get charged back up. But if I ran 2 solar panels on the roof, I could keep it would stay. By the time I got done at the end of the day at work, I'd have 100% power. So it worked out pretty good.
So it lasts all night.
So she moved out because that's when she quit her job.
That's when I hurt my back and my legs.
And so she moved out to this house. And so I was living with a buddy. Well, Michael, the one that did all the Topless Tuesday stuff. I was living with him because he went through a divorce. So I was paying him to stay at his house. And then his parents were going to move in. It's like, there's way too many people here. So then I was trying to find an apartment. Find another room to rent. People in California wanted to charge you $1,000 to stay in somebody's room, which I was paying $500 to stay at his house. And I wasn't going to pay that kind of money. So then for 6 months or 8 months, I lived in the back of the family truckster. And
so we have to prove which one's right. That's what the problem is.
No, because I just know how much trouble I had trying to something with this. Station. I had to find
Google search for Anchor Power Station.
And so when I was looking on, I think I bought this one off of eBay. I don't think I bought this one off of Amazon. And I was wanting to find the owner's manual or something for it, and I couldn't find it. And then I wanted this one because this one only cost like around $200. I didn't pay that much for it, and it did just find what we needed it for.
Yes, it's working still, yeah. And that was.
Well, we drag it around sometimes with this because we figure if we go someplace and do a live,
and they don't
we can plug the computer into this, and it'll run the computer for several hours, and we can charge phones up with it, or like we usually when we go camping, we take it, and we got jumper cables for it. It'll start.
If you remember to bring the jumper cables.
And then we use it a lot. Like if the power goes off, we've got at least something we can plug our phones into or whatever.
Charge. Yeah. Because that night that the big windstorm we had, the microburst, we stayed in here and plugged the fan in.
And it was 100 degrees outside, and the house started heating up, and so we had a fan at least blowing on us for a couple hours until the power came.
But thank goodness we lucked out. There were some people without power for about a week, and the power went out at 6:30, and by 10:30 is when it all came back on. So we were only out without power for 4 hours, but we didn't get home till like 7 o'clock that night, because that's when we were trying to find gas, because we were about to run out of gas. Honda 200. Is that a Honda or is that a Coleman, your generator?
That's Chapman.
Oh, a Chapman. He bought a Chapman generator. I thought it was a Coleman. Still hot there in Sturgis, 88 today. Yeah, but you guys got the humidity too. It's been 106 here, but power out in Florida. I know. Prayers to everybody out there in Florida, and that this storm gets through and starts calming down and doesn't do too much damage.
Part of life living in Florida.
Yeah. I wish I was there. It's getting chilly here in Alaska, high of 40 today. And you complained that whole time, Neil, that it was too hot. But 105 is pretty hot in Sturgis. 88 would probably be a little more bearable, but it was 88 when we were in Oklahoma that one year.
Well, I always look at people like in Florida. If there's people in Florida now complaining that there's a hurricane and all this happened, you shouldn't live live there. Right. Same reason we moved out of St. Louis. We got tired of being involved in tornadoes all the time and the disaster and floods and all that stuff. You don't like where you're at? Move someplace that doesn't. And that's what I said. We travel all around the United States now. We've been in most just about every state. This is really, to us, the best overall. We don't really have any bad weather. Yes, it gets hot, but once you kind of get used to the hot heat out here, 105 isn't that bad when you got 2 or 3% humidity.
Because like I said, if you're standing in the shade, because there's, like you said, it's always a breeze out here. So if you get the breeze on the side,
it's not a hot breeze.
Yeah.
Now, when we first bought the house, it was 120 something degrees, where we walked the dog outside at 9 o'clock at night. The asphalt was still 100 degrees. And so, yes, that was really hot. Typically here, we get a few 115 degree days, but most of the time, 105. And the reason we have a river here, you get out in the river, it's about 60 to 70 degrees. It's nice during the summer. And you spend all day out there.
Yep.
And we get out just like today. It was 106, and we ran around pretty much all day today. We were out on the property out there and out in the sun, and hey, it is what it is. But we accept where we live at. It's like Neil. He lives in Alaska. He likes the colder weather. He likes to see snow 90% of the time. He don't mind 50% of darkness and 50%. That would drive me insane. Not, being for whatever it is, 3 to 6 months, you have sun up, and then it's dark the rest of the time. That would I couldn't handle that. That'd just be too much for me. But I mean, that's what I said. Everybody's different on what you like. People that's in Florida, they like that. They like that. They want to be down in the beachy area and stuff like that. California was really nice. It was, other than the politics and some of the crazy stuff goes on in California. California is a really, overall, their temperature is about 70, like in Southern California, is about 70. It's still that 78 to 80 degrees is about the average. If you average it all year long, that's what you've got. It never gets, you don't see, if it gets down to 35 degrees at night in California, it's for like a minute, and then it's right back up. It's like people go, oh, it's cold here. Yeah, for 20 minutes here, it might get down to 35. By the time you get up in the morning, it's back up to 55. You didn't even know it. Your house didn't even know. Your furnace didn't even. But most of the time here, we never even turn the furnace on. Yeah. Now, the air conditioner runs all the time. But, so it's, I say.
In the winter, it doesn't.
It just, well, that's what I said. It's just what people like where you're at. If you're happy where you're at.
If you're happy and you like your clap your hands.
There you go. But if you don't move, find someplace. And there's climate different all around the United States. Yeah, maybe it's a little warmer. Well, this year it really wasn't that hot here. But I mean, we're a little warmer now, but it's not uncommon for us to be 105 degrees still here. But when you guys are sitting, if you're wherever you're at, even in Florida, you get down into some days, like we were there 2 years ago in Daytona for spring, and we had to wear freaking winter coats down there.
It was 35 or 36 degrees.
Coldest days they ever had in Daytona for the last
like
20
years. And that's like, great. And I'm here.
We don't get that here in Arizona. We don't get any days that we wake up in the morning and it's 35 degrees or 40 degrees.
People complain 45. Like when I say, oh my gosh, it's so cold, and it's like 60 here. But 60 here is not the same as 60 somewhere else, because we have that wind, and that wind whips by you, and it's cold. It is cold. Piece of cake. After a year, it's all great. Yep, you get used to it, don't you, Neil?
And it's Mike's the same way. He lives out in Phoenix, and we're usually a few degrees hotter than we're usually about the hottest.
There you go.
Like here, we're going to be right now in Vegas. It was 96 degrees today, and we were 106, so it's 10 degrees difference here. You can go to Kingman, which is 30 miles away, and they're about 10 degrees cooler than us. They're higher elevation. Well, we're surrounded by mountains, and then we have the Colorado River running through us. So we're like, we normally don't get much rain here either. We don't see much water because of that. And we're the hottest. We're usually the hottest.
It's like if a storm comes up, it hits those two sets of mountain ranges and it splits and goes around. That's why we don't get much.
So we'll get these microbursts and stuff. They call them
microbursts.
No, what do they call
monsoons?
Monsoons. It's not really a monsoon. I don't know why they call it that. I guess because it comes in real quick. It could dump you 5 inches of rain in 20 minutes.
If you're on the water, you don't want to be out on the water. There's Rat Pink. How you doing? Waiting on the hurricane.
Should be gone by now in your place. Oh, I guess no, it's still going that way. Yeah, it's supposed to go through Daytona.
And around 11, they said.
Yeah, they said it was going to go through Daytona. We haven't looked at it to see what the latest scoop is. on where the hurricane is.
Well, when I looked, it looked like that's why I texted you a while ago. Lifer nav 33.
Which is good because that's why I said we always had that when we were in California. I worked for the gas company. Almost everything in Southern California runs on that, run on natural gas. And you wouldn't believe how many people have generators, big generators on the side of their house, these rich people, that they run off natural gas. And because it doesn't take anything for natural gas to run through the pipes. And which it was, you could always have hot water, and we could cook on the stove. You had to light with a match, but you could still use your stove. Couldn't use the oven, but you could use the stove. Could use the oven if I tricked it. But
so you done? There's the weather. I don't have my glasses on.
I guess I'm done. I wanted to go to the lot, but now it's dark.
Well, you're going to show them the lot? Oh,
no, I wanted to film the ending
of
all the pipes and stuff up.
Yeah, it's too dark now.
I wasn't planning on taking the computer with us.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you're all safe wherever you're at, especially those of you down there in Florida.
Well, anywhere from Florida all the way to Washington, D.C. They said this could end up with all types of weather, and also all on the outskirts. People that are in, heck, this could go all the way over to like West Virginia and Georgia, and all those states are all going to have some kind of.
Come out and visit, Stephen. He says he likes the ocean. He likes being at Myrtle Beach, but he says Arizona would be great too. No humidity. Yep, you'll have to come out and visit and see how you like it. I worked on the Big Edison coal plant in Laughlin before they tore it down. Dirty was hazing up the Grand Canyon using too much water. I know it's crazy out here. Bob and Tam, you did a stellar job on the water line install. Thank you. But I'm paying for it now. My back is killing me. And I didn't really do hardly anything. Wake Up America, no such thing as climate change. I don't know.
Well, they always say that. Great. You go back 100 years and you can find the weather that was like it is right now. And there's always, I don't know. And I imagine, I'm still going off of the ozone layer. We got to get rid of all those cans because that was what was causing all this trouble.
Now, use hairspray anymore.
Now they got rid of all that propellant and stuff, and now it's something else. It's always going to be something else.
The cows farting. Isn't that what they said it was? The methane from the cows?
It's just, that's like what you say. People say, we don't believe in the science. No, 50% of the scientists say this, and the other 50% say the opposite. So who's right? Nobody is. It's just like what made the world, what made the earth. There's all these different theories and things like that, but is there any real proof of any of it? No. It's people talk about the Big Bang Theory. Where the hell did they pull that out of their butt? No, how do you know? Were you here when it happened? How do you know that's what happened? Nobody knows. We won't know till the day you die, and then you'll know the truth. Either you're dead and nothing happens, you go to another life, some aliens come and pick you up, whatever happens could happen. But so it is what it is. Live every day.
He poured 84 bags of 80-pound concrete and his back is shot. I feel your pain.
Geez, what are you making a new shop for your
golf cart
business?
For the rich.
It's for the rich.
Yeah. I believe in science. All the best crew.
Well, everything is science.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got every scientist. That's what I said. You can find one scientist to tell you one way, and you can find another scientist will tell you the opposite.
Statistics.
Yeah. Well, she went to one of her college classes.
His RV. He poured for 80. Was it? You should have just got some dump.
A truck. It was 80 bags, but we had. But see, because you had it just on the side of the garage, didn't you? Because here we had to do that. We had to pour. I don't know how many bags of concrete I bought to pour for the hot tub.
10 by 10 spot to put the hot tub on.
We bought a lot of bags, and my son-in-law helped me, and he did most of the heavy work. And it's not perfect, but hey, the hot tub's sitting on top of it, so who cares if it's not as smooth as butter butt or whatever you want to call it.
Butter butt? They wanted way too much. Oh, I know. Concrete's nuts. Wood, concrete. But whoever told us to buy the wood, I think that's a good idea. I think we better buy it.
Yeah, but I don't know if we're buying any plywood or not. I don't know if it is 2x4s to be affected by it too, I guess.
The aliens made it all. I don't know. You never know.
Who knows? We won't know until we die. If you die tomorrow, give me a call. Let me know what's going on the other side. Maybe you'll come back as a grasshopper.
Oy. You wouldn't be my friend then. So thanks for hanging out. We love all of you. Pray for
all those people
Florida.
just came up?
No, I just hit the thing.
Oh.
Pray for all the people down in Florida. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Think about Patreon. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next video.
So look around on Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. We should come out with some lives. Maybe if I probably can't give you a heads up until that day. Probably Saturday I might be able to give you a better heads up when we go live on Saturday. But Friday I don't know until we see what's going on there. Because they said they give us a little room, but I'd like to film outside. But I don't, sometimes when we walk around with the phones, we get all jiggity jaggedy.
Yep. There are people saying goodbye.
Adios, muchachos. See you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile. I'll get some vids of the hurricane. I know. I told my friend, I said, send me some pictures if you can. And she's like, well, I'm standing by the window now, and it looks like we're in the eye of the hurricane. And I'm like, get away from the windows. You're not supposed to be looking out.
If you want to see more pictures of Myrtle Beach, Steven put a bunch of stuff up. It's on our page, our Pating page, and it's also on our regular Bob and Tam's page.
Right, Neil.
He did a couple lives and did a really good job.
Too.
And so check it out if you want to see what's going on in Myrtle Beach and see. Today they had pretty good, not crowded, but you can see cars. Cars are parking. Whenever you see cars down in Myrtle's Inlet, getting some choice places to park, it's not that crowded.
Yeah.
So see you all, and we'll probably see you on Friday. And I have a great video coming up tomorrow, so don't miss the one about the hell night in cars. I don't know. I had it down as the rental car of horrors, but I think I've changed it to the rental car of nightmares. Could fall under either one of those classifications.
So, and there was more issues besides what the video is. So
let's go back and
watch the beginning of this video, and you'll find out what the rest of the issues were.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.